Well, welcome everyone. We're gonna get started. Still, people are still trickling in, but we can get started. We're going to try to keep this meeting short. I'm glad that everyone could be here because I've heard from some people who are experiencing difficulties with their internet connection because of the storm. I assume everyone here has power, so thankful for that. Hopefully it hasn't been too bad for everyone, but I know a lot of people are still without power right now. So I am going to share my screen so that we can look at the agenda for tonight. I don't know if you all can see if it's big enough on the screen.
Yep, that looks good.
But basically, we're gonna vote them to approve the minutes so we can post them. The most important thing is to set the agenda for the meeting that's a week from today. And then a few updates, and yeah, it's gonna be a quick meeting. So first, to approve the minutes. These are the minutes from the last board meeting. This was at the beginning of January. Morgan has also posted them on our website and she's emailed them to people as well. But we can also certainly spend a few minutes just looking through them. I have them on my screen if anyone wants to read them. But I'm going to move that we approve these minutes. Is there a second?
Hi, Sabina. This is Jean. Yeah, it looks like Katie actually seconded in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for seconding. And so now we can have a discussion. We can look over them and all that.
So I don't have a lot of time. I think I brought this up while we were discussing dates for the meeting, and I have barely had internet all day, so I have even less time. I have to log out at 7 to do a work thing. So I'd like to move everything along as quickly as possible.
I hear you. Yeah, I think that's what we're all trying to do. But we still have to do, this is an action item. So approving the minutes is an action item. And so is doing the agenda. So these are things that we have to do.
So far, guys, after Katie's second, Jean, Katie, Gerald, Jason, Morgan.
Oh, okay, I'll vote you. Okay.
Nicole, Sabina.
And I guess I forgot to, yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, never mind. I see Natalie. Perfect.
I forgot to mention at the beginning that this is a board meeting. Even though it's open to the public, participation is by board invitation only. It's a meeting for the purpose of conducting LNA board business. Our general membership meetings are also public, and they're typically on every Tuesday of the month. Our next one is a week from today, February 23rd. So, okay, has everyone voted? I think so. So 8 in favor, no no's, no abstentions. The motion carries. So now the minutes can be posted on our website. Thank you, Morgan, for doing that. Next, we have to set the agenda for the meeting. That's a week from today. The two items that I have been working on are, I think it'd be appropriate to have a street response since it launched in Lens today. just to be there to answer questions from the community. I think there's still a lot of people who don't know exactly what it is and how it works and what to expect, and they might have questions. So I think street response would be good to have there. And then I've been talking to the people from Shelter to Housing Continuum Project to send a representative. The person who was previously working or managing the project from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, if I remember correctly, has moved on, no longer works for the city. There is a new person now, and I've attempted to make contact with them through email and through phone. I left a voicemail. I haven't yet heard back, but I know that this is a topic that's important. Anything else that people think should be there other than our usual committee reports?
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Jean. Sorry.
No, Katie, go for it.
So I'm actually in contact with people from Shelter to Housing Continuum. If you would like, Sabina, I can actually see about scheduling them for next week's meeting.
Yeah, cool. Who have you been in contact with?
I've been in contact with several of the people. Katie Leonard, who is sitting on the board for the Bureau of Planning Sustainability for the Shelter to Housing Continuum, and Eric, I can't remember his last name. I have to look through my email.
Yeah, okay.
Who is now, I think, running the Shelter for Housing Continuum.
Yes, he is. Hold on one second. Sorry, my screen got down here. So yes, okay. What else? Anything else?
We had 2 written requests come in email this week. The first one was from, I didn't write down his last name, but Steve, who is representing a development at 6335 Southeast 92nd Avenue, is willing to come in and present floor plans since it is an alternate use to the space. So that's an option there. And then we also had a request from Joanne asking about a finance presentation with a little bit more time for Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have all the reports. What was the address of that property that you mentioned, Jean?
Sorry, 6335 Southeast 92nd Avenue.
They wanted to come to the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we can be in touch about like how much time they want and whatnot.
I think it'll be pretty fast. He just wanted to be able to share the floor plan. His name is, let's see, Steve Fossler. Sorry.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I see your comment, Nicole. Joanne was looking for a finance committee report out based on, she's got some questions that I'll forward to the finance committee. I can also CC other interested board members. But I think specifically it's looking at basically just the financial report from the last year or two that have been worked on by the committee.
Because we don't have a finance report for 2020 yet, so like a final year end.
Ben is working, we just met again this weekend, Ben and Gerald, he's working. It's been a challenge to get all the statements. Ben does a very thorough job and takes this very seriously. And it's been a challenge to get all the statements because the logging into the account, you only have access to so many, and then you have to call the bank and do all that. But he said that he should now have it by the end of this week. And he also has a new baby and all that. But yeah, okay. So anything else?
There was also an email from Unite Oregon on a letter on police accountability, and they were asking about an LNA endorsement. I did forward that to the board. I don't know if that's something we want to bring up. I do think it ties in thematically with having street response discussion at this meeting, but that would probably be something we would want to publish with the agenda, the link, and then have a general vote.
Yeah, do you mind? I can tentatively put them here and then just asking them how much time they would like and if they can, yeah, if we can publish that letter now.
Sure. And then there is also COVID testing offered on April 10th at the Boys and Girls Club. We just got their permit from the city as an FYI.
Okay, yeah, announcements. Well, this is a very, very full agenda, so it's probably good for now. That's why I wanted to check though if there are other burning things. We definitely have enough.
Since street response only just launched, I would say that, and they did come not that long ago, maybe that if we have too much, that could be something that could wait for the next one.
Mhm.
It's also unlikely that the shelter to housing continuum people are going to be able to attend next week's board meeting due to the short timeline. And in looking at the schedule of meetings for shelter to housing continuum throughout the city, I don't think they're going to be able to make it. Tomorrow they're at EPAP, the East Portland Action Plan meeting. And then Thursday they're at another neighborhood association group. So we could probably push that to March and get them here in March due to the short timeline of the request.
Well, we've been requesting for 2 months, so it's not short.
Well, no, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, it's not like they didn't just get the request today. I've been requesting for many days, so they might be confused if they're getting like contacted from different people or maybe not. I don't know, but they're generally responsive. Eric hasn't been particularly responsive, but I also know that he just started. So, okay, I think that's good for now. So we will publish this. And okay, next, Katie, did you still want this item discussion, possible vote about forming new committees, or is that something that needs a larger discussion at another time?
That's something that can wait till another time. It doesn't necessarily need a larger discussion, but if we want to push it off till next month, that's fine.
Well, it's up to you, and I don't know what you were going to bring up exactly other than that.
Oh, I just wanted to bring up that this can be really fast. So I just wanted to bring up that it has been requested from other community members that we bring back some committees that we used to have, such as the livability committee. And also, I think we should, like we have done in previous years, really reach out to the community and encourage them to join committees.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more people we have joining committees from the community, the stronger our committees are. But I have been approached by about 15 community members who would like to see the livability committee come back and who have committed to sitting on that committee.
That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah. So I wanted to pose a vote about bringing back the livability committee. And then I wanted to talk, and that can wait till next month, talk about how we can engage community members and empower them to join committees, since you don't have to be a board member to join a committee.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I would say it'd be helpful to know, yeah, like to have some names to start the committee, have a chair or something like that. That would be helpful for when we make that motion.
Okay. I can wait that till next month then, as part of a larger discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only reason we don't have one is no one has stepped up to do it. That's the only reason. So if people want it, great.
I will bring that up and I'll see who wants to chair it.
When subcommittees, okay, so for example, if somebody wanted to come in and form a subcommittee that we found to be inappropriate or that the intention was not something that the board felt was appropriate. Is there, like, I guess that's something that I'm absolutely in favor of community members getting involved. But I think it would be, good to, like, okay, yeah, Jean, you put the,
It looks like any committee needs to have at least one board sponsor. So that's just kind of a point of clarification. I don't know if that answers your entire question, but.
yeah, kind of, but I think, like, yeah, it just would be nice for the, like, how when we created the education subcommittee for the Lentz K through 8, like, that we talked about what it was for and what the purpose was. And I just think it's important to have that opportunity as the board to understand what subcommittees are going to do and why, what their goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, we'll need a board liaison for that.
So I'm willing to, since there are people in the community who seem to want the reformation of the livability committee, I'm willing to be the board sponsor for that. I don't want to chair it, but I will be the board sponsor and sit on the committee. And before we include a vote, I will get a detailed description of what that committee were to do. But I will say this, the community of Lentz does not need us to form a committee. There are lots of committees that have nothing to do with the LNA. And because so many people want this committee to come back, like I said, I've been petitioned by, I'm counting now, 17 people who are willing to sit on this committee. I think it would behoove us to bring this committee back. That way we stay involved as the LNA, and people don't decide that they're just going to do this work on their own, which is the prerogative of every single member of this community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be really interested in sort of understanding more what a livability committee looks like and focuses on. So I'm looking forward to that at the next meeting.
Okay, back to our agenda. I'm going to shelve the discussion about representative on the East Portland Resilience Coalition for another time. And let's see, we don't have a land use treasurer update. Gerald, would you like to give a treasurer's update? Not to put you on the spot, I can give you a moment while you pull that up. One thing I wanted to mention as it pertains to the Finance Committee treasurer update is that we have a request from a community member who has been working with Prosper Portland to fix one of the two monuments, the Lentz monuments that we are responsible for the maintenance of.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's all good. Yeah. So this request came in about the community member who is working with PGE and with Prosper Portland to help repair the damage that was done to one of the monuments. They were wondering if they could have our PG account number so that they can more adequately work. And I'm not opposed to that. I think that's public information, but I still wanted to be transparent about that and see if anyone has anything against us sharing that information with this community member.
I have a quick question. So if we give them the account number, they can just like contact PGE on behalf of the Lentz community and discuss figuring out payments for the monument? Is that what they need it for?
So no, not payments. and sorry if I misunderstood what you're saying. I was looking for their message just now, but this isn't about the bills for the monuments. This is about, yeah, like there was some damage and it included one of the utility poles, and he's just trying to help. So PG just needs that information from us.
Can we know who this community member is?
Yeah. His name is Randy Daigle. I hope I say his name right. He's the former owner of Lens Auto Body Shop. They've been known in the community for a long time. And that monument is right by the Lens Auto Body Shop. So they reached out to me and I said I will reach out to the board about it. And so here we are in case we needed any deliberation. Does anyone see anything wrong with sharing that information?
Nope.
No.
Just our account number, that's all. Okay. Well then, so Gerald, then it sounds like we're okay with sharing that with him.
Okay, so I was kind of confused. Now
Oh,
I
Gerald,
have been
You
contacted.
go closer to your mic.
Can you hear me now better? Okay. Now, sorry about that. So I have been contacted by Randy Daigle. I had no idea who he was,
So we
or
can't,
can you hear me? Okay.
now I can hear you.
So I've been contacted by Randy Daigle, and I had no idea who he was, and he didn't specify. He caught me when I was away from my phone, and he left me a message, and it was kind of very vague. So I didn't know what to assume. I gave him a call back and missed him there, but I believe we've been playing phone tag for a while, and I wish I knew that was what he was calling about. But I do have the account numbers available for him. I'll contact him very soon and see if we can get that taken care of.
Awesome, thank you, Gerald. Did you want to give an update on, are there any changes from the last time?
Sure, just minor things. Since the last meeting, saving accounts balance was 1665.52. That was January 27th. Today's balance is 1627.83, and the only activity was that payment to PGAE of 3770 on January the 29th. There is no activity in the PayPal account. Again, it's been at zero since December the 8th. Let's see, we still have pending invoices for the mayoral candidates, Ted Wheeler and Sarah Enarone. Other than that, there hasn't been much activity. I have been able to kind of look at Ben's progress in the shared bank statements on the LNA drive. So it does look like it's being close to being finished right now. So that was that.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you for all your work on this too. Okay. With that, excuse me 1 second. Lost in all my tabs here. Get back to our agenda. I think the only two things were left now are from the communications committee. We potentially have a couple of statements that we wanted to put out on our Facebook page and thought we would run by the board first. And by we, I mean myself and Jean. Jean, do you have something right now? Jean wanted to write something about to acknowledge Black History Month.
I do not have something prepared, unfortunately. I did do some research and found out something very cool about a gentleman named A.E. Flowers, who basically owned a farm near Mount Scott in what's defined as the Lents area. So I was trying to figure out his address, but he was one of the sort of Black pioneer residents of Portland, and he moved here in 1865. So I have no formal statement yet, but we'll try to put something together, and I apologize for that.
No problem. I think we're all very much at capacity right now with everything going on between the pandemic and also now this snowstorm. I had a statement that I also wanted to run by folks, and it's about street response. So as some of you or all of you know, it launched in Lens today. It's been getting a lot of media attention, and they have also been reaching out to us as well. And we have, meeting a week from today, and I think we're going to have a larger discussion about all this with the community. But I thought that it would be good to have a statement from the board, from us as leaders in our community, not saying we're representing the whole community, but as leaders, kind of what is our stance on this. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Nicole also felt similarly. So we kind of got together and had a conversation also with Candace Avalos and with Robin Burek from Street Response, and with Raven, who's formerly houseless and now works for Street Roots. And kind of try to generate some ideas for how it might look like. And I have it here, and it ended up being a little longer than I did. So it's on the screen, but I'm also just going to read it. And so before I read it, I'm just going to clarify a few things. So first of all, this is a statement from the board. So it's not the membership. This is us as leaders, and what our stance is about this program. And it felt important to acknowledge that, neighborhood associations historically have been a part of a systemic problem in the barriers that houseless folks face to getting housing. And most importantly, though, I think I wanted just to kind of commit to doing better and to saying some concrete actions that we might want to commit to promoting or taking on as an organization. So I'll just read it, I guess. So in the aftermath of a global pandemic, coupled with historic divestment from the federal government, we have continued to put our houseless community in unwinnable situations. As we launch a new program, Portland Street Response, to provide a human solution to our houselessness crisis, we are looking to our fellow Lens neighbors and other neighborhood associations to join us in building a community that doesn't leave out so many of our neighbors. Regardless of everyone's political beliefs, we believe that in Lens, we all share a desire for a healthy, thriving community. Whether we are housed or experiencing houselessness, we all want to see houselessness end. However, the common response to houselessness so far has been law enforcement. A 2018 report published in the Oregonian revealed that more than half of arrests police made in 2017 were of homeless people, who constituted 3% of the population at most. And jail bookings of homeless people have skyrocketed, according to an analysis of booking statistics through February 2020. Yet, we know that the more interactions people have with law enforcement and the criminal justice system, the more barriers they experience to housing. We recognize that historically, neighborhood associations have been a part of systemic injustices against those experiencing houselessness in our neighborhood. In our advocacy, we haven't adequately represented and involved our houseless neighbors as constituents. We have centered the voices of those housed, creating an us versus them dynamic between the housed and unhoused neighbors. At times over the years, our advocacy has pushed for sweeps and incarceration for the houseless, effectively criminalizing being houseless and leading to houseless folks experiencing barriers to housing, loss of property, violence, and incarceration. We recognize now that all this was wrong, and we want to commit to doing better. With approximately 92,000 people in Portland currently facing evictions, we believe it's time to change the narrative about who is houseless and to embrace new solutions for responding to houseless people in crisis with empathy and an open mind. Ending houselessness is going to take all of us working together to address the systemic causes of houselessness, such as gentrification, inequity, and lack of access to behavioral health care services. This is all going to take time, and until we can achieve that, we want to where they are and empowering them to advocate for themselves. It is why our LNA board is in support of Street Response, and we want to commit to doing our part as leaders in our community to make this program successful. Some concrete actions we commit to taking in the days and months to come in support of Street Response and helping people get on a solid path to being housed are recognizing unequivocally that houseless folks are our neighbors just as housed folks are, ensuring our organization represents everyone regardless of class or housing status, partnering with Street Roots Ambassador Program to facilitate conversations through a trauma-informed equity lens between housed and unhoused neighbors, so we can learn how to navigate this turbulent time and find lasting peace. Encouraging housed folks to take a step back and be willing to not be the centered voices right now, so the voices of the unhoused community can be centered. Building capacity for empathy and encouraging our members to open their minds to new solutions that aren't punitive and work towards solutions to help people get on a solid path to being housed. We believe everyone is entitled to opportunity and dignity and the freedom to reach their fullest potential. We recognize that Black, Indigenous folks, people of color, and immigrants are disproportionately impacted by socioeconomic injustice, including houselessness, and solutions to that injustice mean solutions for all. We welcome Street Response and Lens, and we are looking forward to being a part of the ongoing conversation on how we can end houselessness and create a thriving Lens community for all. So, yeah, any thoughts? So I'm gonna make so I just wanna make a motion to make the statement, and then if there's a second, then we have a discussion. So making the
Before we do that, Sabina, a lot of your statements in there are historically completely false about the previous actions of the Lens Neighborhood Association. As somebody who's been, as the only person sitting on this board who's been involved the longest, I can say that that is absolutely not true and really offensive to those people who worked really hard in this community for a very long time. I would also like to say that I don't think we should push this through. I think that there are a lot of things in there that personally I would like to digest before I put my name to anything like this sweeping.
Okay, so I don't know what your assumptions are about what I said.
I'll point it out to you, Sabina. You said that we recognize that historically neighborhood associations have been a part of systemic injustices against those experiencing houselessness in our neighborhood. Not true.
How about important?
Not true. In our advocacy, we haven't adequately represented and involved houseless neighborhoods as our constituents. Also not true. I can name years and meetings that we did involve our houseless neighbors over the years. The Big Lens Town Hall in 2017. It comes to mind, and I can look up many others, so that's also not true. Let's see. We have centered the voices of those housed, creating an us versus them dynamic between the housed and unhoused neighbors. Also not true. And if given more time, I can list specific examples of how that is not true. Let's see. I mean, I could go on. I could pick this apart and name all the false statements historically involved with the LNA.
So I hear you. And I also have been a part of this board.
Sabina, not that long. As I told you in the text messages we were texting, I was at your recruitment.
Being interrupted because I don't interrupt you. I have been to pretty much every single meeting since 2017. I may have missed a couple, and so this has been my experience. In my opinion, admitting to some actions that were wrong doesn't deny that there were other actions that were good. Just because sometimes people were empowered doesn't mean they were always empowered. How many times have we had houseless folks sit on our board? You know, and yeah, so. Okay, anyone else? Hold on.
I'm super uncomfortable with the false nature of a lot of the statements in this letter. And I just will say that I think that until it can be edited for historical accuracy, that it should not go out.
Okay, I hear you. I see other hands up. Nicole, and then Jean.
Well, I think that it's really important in this discussion that anyone that like individuals separate themselves from what the actions of the LNA are not like sort of what Sabina said, saying that anyone is a bad person or that every action has been against houseless people. But basically, if any of us have been have just sat and watched things go by, we're complicit. I mean, I'm talking right now.
I have to go though.
Okay,
I said I had
okay.
until 7, so I have to go.
That's
So I cannot complete this discussion at this time. If you guys decide to vote on this, that's absolutely fine, because I do have to go. I think we should wait on this until we have everybody available at a meeting that happens when it's supposed to.
Okay, well, I would like to finish what I was trying to say.
Yeah, because you're being real disrespectful. And that wasn't cool at all, because we waited while you talked, even though we knew you had time that you had to go.
Sorry, I think Katie is out. So I apologize, Nicole.
That's okay. No, I have no problem waiting, but I still think this is something we can discuss with or without anybody on the meeting. But yeah, I just, I think that I personally have seen actions of the neighborhood committee that are not supportive of houseless people. I myself have done the same thing. And, that's just part of how we grow as people and how we grow as an organization. And I think maybe that could be addressed in there. That's part of growth. We all make mistakes, and we're just here to look at what we can do better.
Jean, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no, I was just trying to give Nicole. I had seen her hand up for a little while.
Yeah. Well, I guess, if, like I said, this would just be good to have something to put from this board, and it can be made clear that this is the board. We're not claiming we're representing the community or even the membership, but as leaders, people turn to us or reach out to us for comment, and it would just be good to have something to put out there. That being said, I also support or would version of this to our membership a week from today during the street response portion of the agenda, and saying, hey, this is kind of like, where we stand, what our thoughts are. Do you all support something like this? What can we all commit to in terms of helping make this program a success? Because if we all agree that, we want to end houselessness, but we might not agree about what the best way to do that, let's have that conversation. And also let's talk about like, what are some things that we can do right now to help this program that is, directly, meant to help people who are in crisis right now be successful. So yeah. That's kind of what my thought is, and hopefully involving other neighborhood associations too. It's just that we happen to be at the center of it because it's launching in Lents and only in Lents. So, after the pilot program, it might launch elsewhere. Other neighborhood associations are going to be more a part of it too. But right now, everyone's looking towards us, and I think it's important to put something out there. So with that, I'll make a motion to post the statement. I'm open to small changes and whatnot. And yeah, is there a second? And then we can still have a discussion if people want specific changes or additions or anything, or have any requests. This is just a proposal. Is there a second?
I second it, but I also want to hear people's opinion about it. And, I want this to be a place where people can feel comfortable to say they don't agree or they do agree, or, whatever their feelings are on it. I don't want anyone's voice to not be heard.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so now that it's second, there's still more room for discussion. If anyone wants to address anything right now. Also, I can send it in our email as a document if folks have time to make comments or suggestions between now and tomorrow. I think if we could post it sometime tomorrow would be good. Any thoughts?
Gerald has a comment in the chat. I think the statement should be a little bit smaller.
I agree. This was a first pass. What do you have a length? Do you think a page or under, or even shorter than that? Like a paragraph? Okay.
I was going to suggest that maybe it starts like down at the very bottom of the first page, where you get into the action, like the concrete actions. I think those get lost in the statement because they're so far down, and it maybe would be received more more positively if maybe we can tone down the language about the LNA being involved in the injustices, because it's hard to accept personal responsibility for harming people. It's, it's a hard thing to digest.
I know, I agree with you. I just think it's also like a time right now when collectively we are ready for that, so I don't think that it's too far off the mark to try to come to terms with that and to try to do better. But so I can send it, I can add everyone to the document, and yeah, I'll propose specific changes or something. But do we agree with putting something to this effect out there? Okay, so I think people are voting in the chat. Let's see, has everyone had a chance to vote? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 board members right now. Sorry, it's very hard for me to say. It's because I'm sharing my screen. Could you clarify, is there 7 board members? And yeah, it looks like we have 6 yeses and 1 abstention. So the motion carries. Is this right? Okay, I'm gonna stop screen sharing because I can't count.
There's 6 board members present because we dropped Katie. So we have Jean, Sabina, Morgan, Gerald, Natalie. Oh, sorry, Nicole. I didn't see you when you first came in. Apologies. And Natalie.
So we have 7.
Yes.
And we have 6 yeses and 1 abstention. Yes. Okay. And Jean, do you want to say why you're abstaining, or no, you don't have to?
Sometimes. I think it needs some pretty big edits. I like Nicole's proposition of putting actions forward, and I like the inclusion of data, especially I think related to actual data showing arrests have increased, and that comparison of arrest population versus houseless population. I do also think the beginning can be wordsmithed a little better. I think there is definitely a distinction between the city of Portland implementing Portland Street Response versus LNA. And I think I am in support of making sure this program works, because as we've seen with Cahoots in other cities, I think Denver has also implemented something like this, that it's needed and it should be working. So I definitely think we as a board especially, but also as a community, should really be trying to make this happen. I do think it's interesting that it's very focused on specifically like people calling authority figures on houseless people. I guess I didn't realize that was entirely one of the main focuses. So that was surprising to me, because I feel like this kind of almost amplifies, hey, houseless people, we're going to call street response on you. So that was just surprising. So that's why I'm abstaining.
Yeah, well, I look for, you're great with words, you're great with writing. So with this starting point, maybe we can make it better. But yeah, the reasoning for that is because street response is an alternative to calling the police. So that's, I think, but if that can be said better, or, you know, Morgan.
Well, I just wanted to chime in and say that we can do this, you know, all day, and there is a time constraint, right? The media wants to hear from us by tomorrow. We're not going to make everybody happy. We're just not. So I agree, we can do some wordsmithing. We can probably shorten it up a little bit, but you know, going back and forth and beating our brains over it too much, I don't know how productive that's going to be. If we really want to end houselessness, we want to help people, you know, we're going to have to make some broad statements, and I'm in support of that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Okay. Well, this has passed, and we'll work on it in the background. We'll find some, you know, something good to put out for tomorrow, and then we'll bring something better to the membership and see if we can get their support to kind of committing as a group to working together to be a part of this change. I think with that, we are ready to wrap up the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your flexibility meeting tonight, and for all your contributions, for being here and for voting.
Thank you.
We do need to have a March board meeting, just as a heads up, because we need to tackle the grievance items, which we should have prepared for then. So I guess save the date for March.
We have one every month usually, so we will have it for sure. Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Let's see, I'm gonna download.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.